Lines crossed again. Loyalties contested.
You can't shut that gate!
Orders stand, Padre.
When faith meets force, choices define nations. Borderlines of Judgment, in theaters now.
The Catholic Church has split wide open, and the fault lines run straight through America's border. Pope Leo shocking the world by defending national sovereignty, while his own bishops attack our immigration enforcement. But when Tom Homan fired back at the Vatican's hypocrisy, he exposed something much bigger than a policy dispute. This is a spiritual battle for the soul of the West. Now, Pope Leo's declaration that America has every right to control who enters our country stands in stark contrast to the U.S. Catholic bishops' position condemning Trump's deportation plans as anti-Christian. Meanwhile, Archbishop Vigano, the whistleblower they've been trying to silence, warns that Western governments have been infiltrated by Agenda 2030 operatives. It's not about immigration anymore. This is about whether religious institutions will side with national sovereignty or global governance. The Catholic Church commands 1.4 billion followers worldwide. In America, the Catholic vote helped put Trump back in office, and now that coalition is fracturing because the establishment wing of the church has been working with NGOs to facilitate mass migration while preaching compassion. And the stakes? The entire moral authority being weaponized in this battle. And while political and religious institutions battle for control, there is another force that's quietly reshaping America's future, and it's happening underground. The Trump administration released a document under Executive Order 14241. It could transform the mining sector. They've named Alaska's Palmer Project as critical for national security, containing billions of dollars in copper, zinc, and silver that our military desperately needs. Vizsla Copper acquired that project, positioning themselves at the center of America's mineral independence push. Led by the same team that built Vizsla Silver into a $1 billion valuation, they're trading it as VCUFF in the United States. When similar Alaskan miners got government backing, shares jumped over 200%. The Palmer designation happened, and the market just hasn't caught up yet. You can learn more about Vizsla Copper at the link in today's description. Now, Tom Homan's response to the bishops was a kill shot. He said, if they're so concerned about security and walls, why does the Vatican have the highest walls in Rome? Why do bishops lock their facilities tighter than our border? The penalty for illegally entering Vatican City is actually harsher than entering America, but here's the bombshell. Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy exposed CDL mills issuing 194,000 illegal commercial driver's licenses to foreign nationals. Think about what's on your roads right now. 194,000 illegal commercial driver's licenses to foreign nationals. These are not random migrants. They're being handed 18-wheelers while the church preaches about dignity and compassion. Now, back in May, Washington Examiner reported that the new American Pope, Pope Leo XIV, echoing his predecessor, Pope Francis, and largely opposing the Trump administration's stance on immigration.
Pope Leo XIV is echoing his predecessor, Pope Francis, in opposing the Trump administration's stance on immigration.
Aiutateci anche voi.
You too help us, then each other, to build bridges with dialogue, with the encounter, uniting to be one people, always in peace, thanks to Pope Francis.
Pope Leo shared an article recounting Pope Francis's criticism of the Trump administration's immigration policy and Vice President J.D. Vance's defense of it. Leo mirrored Francis' thoughts on DACA while also appearing to signal support for gun control. Leo has shown conservative thought on
gun control, supporting the previous pope's positions. October 9th, Virgin Media News. We have this. Pope Leo met Texas Bishop Mark Seitz, brought letters from immigrant families fearing deportation. The bishop also showed a video on migrants' plight as Catholic leaders continue to criticize the U.S. immigration crackdown.
It is, well, the situation is that they are... To say they're fearful is not strong enough. They're terrorized. And it is what shall I say? It is a fear that has a long-term impact on people on their lives.
Doesn't the Bible say something about following the law somewhere? I'm sure it does. I mean, oh, they're being terrorized, are they? Well, maybe they should have thought twice about coming to this country illegally. Pope Leo IX said immigrants must be treated with dignity. He encouraged all people in the United States to heed the bishop's message on immigration. Leo's brother, the Pope, thinks the Trump administration's position on immigration is a total injustice.
Sees the United States is headed in the wrong direction in terms of immigration. That this is a total injustice. I don't know how he would handle that. It's a very difficult situation because you're going to offend someone one way or the other, no matter what.
How about just follow the law? Stephen Miller, the architect of Trump's policies, once recommended the Pope should read his favorite book. Nicholas, this is a much more balanced and conservative take on immigration than I remember hearing from Pope Francis. In Italy, the Pope on illegal immigration said,
The U.S. bishops have made a very strong statement about the deportation and detention of migrants. What do you think of it? And they kind of said that you've got their back. Were you behind that?
Well, I've made some statements about that already. I appreciate very much what the bishops have said. I think it's a very important statement. I would invite especially all Catholics, but people of goodwill, to listen carefully to what they said. I think we have to look for ways of treating people humanely, treating people with the dignity that they have. If people are in the United States illegally, there are ways to treat that. There are courts. There's a system of justice. I think there are a lot of problems in the system. No one has said that the United States should have open borders. I think every country has a right to determine who and how and when people enter. But when people are living good lives, and many of them for 10, 15, 20 years, to treat them in a way that is extremely disrespectful, to say the least, and there's been some violence, unfortunately. I think that the bishops have been very clear in what they said, and I think that I would just invite all people in the United States to listen to them. Thank you.
Listen to the popes, huh? Listen to the bishops. Well, what is Tom Homan saying?
The Catholic bishops sent out a special message. They said they get that countries to secure their borders, but they don't like these mass deportations. What's your message?
So according to them, the message we should send to the whole world is that if you cross the border illegally, which is a crime, don't worry about it. If you get ordered removed by a federal judge after due process, don't worry about it, because there shouldn't be mass deportations. Is that the message we send to the whole world? People are still going to put themselves in harm's way to come to the greatest nation on earth. They're going to spend their life savings to give to a criminal cartel. And we saw during the Biden administration, when there was no immigration enforcement, over 4,000 aliens died in making a journey historic record. 250,000 Americans died in fentanyl historic record. Secure borders saves lives. I wish the Catholic Church would understand that. We have the right to secure our borders like they have the right to secure their facility. You can't enter their facility without getting arrested. As a matter of fact, the penalties entering their facilities are much worse than ours. So, we're going to force the law, and by doing that, we're saving a lot of lives. Secure border saves lives. And one of the reasons no one talks about why we have the most secure border in the history of this nation is because exactly what ISIS is doing. ISIS sent a message to the whole world: don't give your life savings to come to the country, because you're not going to be released. You're not going to cross the border illegally, you're going to be prosecuted. So the Catholic Church is wrong. I'm sorry. I'm a lifelong Catholic. I'm saying it as not only a Border Czar, I'll say it as a Catholic. I think they need to spend time fixing the Catholic Church, in my opinion.
On H1B,
spend time fixing the Catholic Church. Oh, yes, the Catholic Church does have its own problems. Like this, Archbishop Vigano going nuclear.
Has managed to infiltrate a dangerous subversive elite, has managed to infiltrate the highest levels of Western institutions and governments to implement the criminal plan of the Agenda 2030. In many self-proclaimed democratic states, the voices denouncing this global coup are being silenced through censorship, intimidation, psychiatrization, and even arrest. among the victims of the totalitarian regime quietly establishing itself in Europe, Canada, Australia, and other vassal nations of the United Nations, NATO, World Health Organization, and World Economic Forum, all private entities funded by the same powers, is lawyer Rainer Fulmich, unjustly imprisoned and still awaiting for a fair trial. His crime is having dared to speak the truth in a world of criminal lies. I call on Catholics and all people of goodwill to raise their voices in defense of those persecuted by the globalist regime. It is not Attorney Fulmich who should be imprisoned, but those who committed the greatest crime ever against humanity: Anthony Fauci, Bill Gates, Klaus Schwab, George Soros, Ursula von der Leyen, Albert Bourla, and all their accomplices and emissaries, especially those in institutional positions. Free Rainer Fulmich.
The infiltration of Agenda 2030. Let's take a listen here. Excommunicating Vigano.
As all Catholics, is Pope Francis about to excommunicate another good bishop? So the Vatican is putting Cardinal Vigano on trial and charging him with schism. Now, some might celebrate this, but I'm disappointed. I love Vigano. I love his stances on abortion, genital mutilation, and any of his other stances that are in alignment with Catholic teaching, as all Catholics should have. I have Protestant friends who have the same stances, which is good. Now, if you love someone, you have to be honest with them. As Catholics, we are called to submit to all ecumenical councils. That includes Vatican II. That might be unpopular, but that is what's traditional. Now, the Vatican is accusing Vigano of public statements that have to do with denial of the legitimacy of Pope Francis, breaking of communion with him, and rejection of the Second Vatican Council. Now, yes, by definition, these things are considered schism, but we...
Yeah, Vigano is not on the top of the list over there at the Vatican. That's for sure. Now we have, let's see, some more on the ICE operations with respect to the border. 11 hours ago, in a jaw-dropping national security bombshell, the Trump State Department under Secretary Marco Rubio revoked the visas of a staggering 80,000 foreign nationals since January.
12,000 visas. And Brett, this just breaking right now, the Secretary of State and the State Department are announcing that they have revoked 80,000 visas, American visas, in the year 2025. So far, we get a partial breakdown of those. I will read a couple to you. 16,000 visas revoked for DUI. 12,000 visas revoked for assault and 8,000 for theft. We also know about 8,000 student visas for foreign students studying here in the United States have been revoked. We're going to get you the full breakdown on those numbers, but there you have it.
Visas getting revoked. Bishops pushing back. Border Czar Tom Homan confirming massive ICE operations are going to hit New York.
Mayor Adams at one, but New York City, I plan on being in New York City in the near future. We're going to do operations in New York City. We know in New York City, me and Mayor Adams at one point had an agreement to let ICE into Rikers Island so we can arrest the public safety threats and the safety and security of that facility, but the city council shut it down. So we're going to be coming to New York City. We're already there now. I mean, teams are there now. But we will increase the enforcement presence in New York City, again, because they're a sanctuary city, and we know we have an issue there with public safety threats hitting the street every day.
With that...
New York's on the list. Secretary Duffy, this is crazy. 200,000 non-domiciled CDLs issued to foreigners, issued illegally.
DHS Secretary, this ICE situation, ICE arresting a man from Uzbekistan earlier this month while he was driving a commercial truck in Kansas. DHS says this 31-year-old Akwar Bozorov was led into the country by Joe Biden's administration. He was wanted in Uzbekistan in 2022 for alleged ties to terrorism. He was granted work authorization in the United States in early 2024. His commercial driver's license was issued in Pennsylvania. And the photo that DHS released even shows him having a real ID, Secretary. You've gone after California for issuing 17,000 commercial driver's licenses to illegals. It's a time to federalize CDL certifications. What are you doing here? And I mean, it's just astounding to me that someone who was tied to terrorism in Uzbekistan actually got a license to drive a commercial vehicle in Kansas.
Yeah, so first off, it goes to show you that Joe Biden and his administration didn't do any background checks on who is coming into the country. They offered them asylum and they offered them work authorizations and then allowed them to go out and get commercial driver's licenses and operate on American roads, endangering American citizens. And so we have had new rules that have come out to say, you know what, we're going to tighten this up. If you come legally, you have a visa, or you're coming from one state to another, you can get what's called a non-domiciled CDL. These are the licenses that these foreigners are using. But to tighten up the rules means we're going to have more safety on American roads. But you mentioned 17,000 from California. We think other states have also issued many illegally commercial driver's licenses. There were 200,000 non-domiciled CDLs issued to foreigners.
Wow.
We think 194,000 of them were issued illegally.
Oh my goodness.
And would not comply with our new rule. And so again, you've aired these crashes, Maria.
Yeah.
They're horrific. When people can't understand the English language, they can't read signs, and they don't know the rules of our road.
Terrible.
That's a problem. Americans aren't safe. And we also see that there are CDL mills, commercial driver's license mills, where people aren't being properly trained. They're being pushed through getting licenses, and then again driving across the country.
Unbelievable.
If I can make one last point, Maria, it's driving American truckers out of business.
Good point.
And American trucking companies driving the wages down. That's not why we're taking this action, but that's a real consequence of having all these foreigners come in.
That's a great point.
What we're going to do is see those wages rise, and it's still a good paying job in America to be an American truck driver.
Secretary, let me.
Yeah, and then you've got those tragedies from the illegals, right? Tom Homan, we're enforcing the law. What other federal agency does that?
No, she needs to understand we're enforcing the law. I mean, what other federal agency does she think should not enforce the laws? We're taking public safety threats out of her community every day, which makes her community safer. You think she'd be hand in hand with us, and thanking President Trump for focusing on the worst of the worst, prioritizing those public safety threats, those child rapists and murderers and others. So we're going to keep doing it.
We're going to keep on doing it. Check this out. The mayor of Broadview, Illinois, has declared a civil emergency after alleged out-of-state protesters threatened to become hyper-violent.
Tobin is. There were more protests today outside a federal immigration facility in suburban Chicago that has become the epicenter of the anti-ICE movement. In Illinois and elsewhere, the demonstrations are becoming more confrontational. Senior correspondent Mike Tobin is in Broadview, Illinois tonight.
Another Friday, protesters mass in Broadview, Illinois, and shout at the local police who don't execute immigration enforcement. They arrive equipped with painter's masks, even a wooden shield anticipating a conflict. At a Coast Guard base near Oakland, California, as protesters rallied, thinking Border Patrol may base there, a U-Haul truck drove in reverse rapidly towards a guard gate. Warnings were ignored and the guards opened fire. 2 injured. Survivors of loved ones killed by illegal immigrants say the protesters don't get it.
We're inconvenient truths to their reality.
Operation Midway Blitz was named in honor of Katie Abraham, killed in downstate Illinois by a Guatemalan man in the U.S. illegally, driving drunk, and with false documentation.
This is a person who shouldn't have been here. If we had a rational, coherent policy or some process, he wouldn't have been here. And then Katie would be here.
21-year-old Jimmy Walden, a U.S. Marine, was killed in 2017 when a Mexican citizen in the U.S. illegally hit his motorcycle head-on.
My son's death was 100% preventable.
Terrorists! Cell phone video of Border Patrol Commander Greg Bavino throwing tear gas in Chicago's Little Village neighborhood has critics claiming agents are defying a court order to warn protesters.
And that was settled, by the way. So, the real explosion. You heard it. Mayor Thompson, Broadview, Illinois, declaring a civil emergency. Credible bomb threats against ICE agents. Death threats against cartel-aligned activists mobilizing. Why? because Tom Homan announced massive operations in the sanctuary cities. New York? Oh, yeah, it's going to happen. Even more than it is now. The criminal networks protecting illegal immigration are going to know. They're going to go to war because they know that their protection racket is ending. So the Vatican civil war is public. America's border is the battlefield. Pope Leo defending his own sovereignty while his own bishops undermine it, exposing the collapse of institutional unity. The same church that surrounds itself with walls and guards lectures America about compassion while facilitating an invasion. Tom Homan called their bluff. Now we have bomb threats against ICE agents and 194,000 illegals driving commercial trucks on our highways. It's not about faith, it's about power. The globalist wing of the church partnered with NGOs to flood America with dependents. The nationalist wing is speaking up, but actions matter more than words. So do you believe religious institutions should enforce America's laws or undermine them? Yes or no? Drop your answer below. And remember, truth needs support. You can check out our merch shop to keep independent media alive.